afternoon, everyone. My name is Dwivedi. I am going to moderate this panel. We have panelists here. I just want to introduce today's panelist. So start with Mr. Christopher May. He is founder of commercialpeople.com, which is actually an online platform which deal into property-related services based in United Kingdom. We have Mr. Vijay Kandhari. He is managing partner of Vijay Kandhari and Group. We also have Mr. Pradeep Shetty, Chairman Heritage Group. To take care of question on your banking, finance, NBFC, we have Mr. Rakesh Kaushik, faculty member of Indian Institute of Banking and Finance. So just to start with that thing, today discussion, you know that topic was reinvention for the new normal world. Actually, today panel discussion among the pillar segment of real estate industry, including the developer, consulting, online portal, advertisers, bankers, about how they are teaming up and moving ahead to face this upcoming challenge after the lockdown. Because the fear after the lockdown is going to be there with the people mind, like businessmen, they are not getting their business, the job people, they have fear to losing their job. So people also getting the tendency to reserve their money, spending power, reduce, because nobody knows what is going to happen in this future. So everybody is very, very uncertain how to handle, how this entire thing is going to happen. So everybody is holding, like whether it's a businessman, individual. So here we have to take a collective approach how to take the challenge, how to face the challenges in the market after this lockdown period. So I would start with Mr. Vijay question, because the obvious question today is that was where the buyer, how we are going to get this sale. So looking at the current scenario, question here is that like a lot of panelists, a lot of webinars coming, what is going to be price in the real estate market? So looking at the current scenario, where does the property price actually going ahead? Whether it's go up, down, and do you think after this lockdown issue and this economic scenario, how is going to impact the price in real estate? Mr. Vijay, over to you.
Yeah. I'm Vijay Kandhari. My father, Mr. Vijay Kandhari, is also here with us. Hello. And he's an ex-banker. And I feel real estate, as far as your question goes, is about the pricing. So the pricing is very subjective. It is according to the demand and supply in the locations. Like I am right now in Bandra. So Bandra to Juhu, if you say the prices cannot reduce much further because number of projects and availability is quite limited. And overall real estate is very good in the long run. Right now, we all are, of course, in a very catch-22 situation. Things are quite uncertain. But the builders or the projects which are having a good quality will always have their own market, is what I feel. I do a lot of luxury market, and the developers who have given occupation certificate in the last 3 years will never find a problem to have sales. Basically, what I mean to say that the performers are here to survive. They have not reduced their prices drastically. The people who have done a lot of over trading or have not concentrated, focused on the quality of the product will have a problem. Commitment, if it is honored, will always create its own market. And reputed builders, which we know here, quite a few, have not reduced their prices drastically. Like I have a marketing team and a development team, and I don't see that builders are reducing the prices in ready possession projects with OC. Ready with OC has a very good market. What was your other question, Mr. Anil?
So looking at the same question, the pricing, like you may be meeting all the client and everybody. So what is the sentiment, what they're looking at?
See, everyone is looking today for an opportunity transaction. Every buyer, of course, it is very obvious. It's a human nature that if you're wanting to spend money, you should get the worth of it. And at the same time, you should get your choice product. So availability in the luxury market within Bandra to Juhu is very limited. Overall, Bombay, the locations, there are pockets which have too much supply. That will, of course, find a challenge to sell. And the developers are ready to give good payment terms. They are ready to give good rates per square foot. So I'm sure the market will get better in the next 3 to 4 months once we are free from this COVID situation. And prices, I feel, will take at least 1 or 2 years to grow, depending on the location and supply in that vicinity. So it is quite subjective.
Okay, so price is going to be like same, or somebody looking at the like value buying. So people, builder to builder, can look at to reducing, or they can look at the same.
Depends upon the developer, how much is he leveraged and what is his construction position at site. And depending on the supply in that location and vicinity, like if you go to Worli, Parel, those areas, the supply is in abundance. So I'm sure they will have to do their study and work on the pricing aspect. But there are many pockets where the supply is very limited, and the under construction projects will take little time to complete now after this scenario because of too many laborers are not available. There is shortage of funds. So ready possession properties will stand a very good market. This is what I feel. And under construction, of course, will have a challenge.
Okay, so my next question to Vijay. So when you are looking at after like the lockdown, and we have already started facing unlocking thing in the Maharashtra and everything, how the demand and supply gap is going to be there, and what the strategy has to be taken to fulfill this gap? Means basically from as a builder and as a consultant point of view, how we are going to create a demand, how we are going to get the buyer, because supply is there. You are saying ready supply is there, under construction supply is there. So ready, you are saying there's a buyer. If you get value buying, you'll buy the property. But ultimately, a builder has to get the buyer to sell his property to fulfill his like the bank requirement, to his cash flow. So how the demand between the supply and your demand, the gap has to be. What is your strategy on that? How you're going to create the demand?
See, I feel everyone has realized now that real estate is the asli investment. And even globally, I have got many NRIs who are wanting to buy properties which are pre-leased to MNCs or having a good rental income. So there is a very good demand. It is just that the buyers are in an indecisive frame. There are quite a few transactions which people have done in the market in the last 3 months. And I am always very positive and optimistic of real estate. I have completed 3 decades in real estate. I feel the demand is very, very, very big the way compared to the availability in the market. It is just that the point of indecisiveness in the buyer's mind is reducing the volume of transactions, which it should. And our builder fraternity is focusing a lot on projects. See, we all know that the margins of the builders have reduced tremendously. It is not that builders are making a big fortune out of the projects. In the last 5 years, the builders who have done acquisitions, they are not making very big money. So I don't see that they can reduce prices drastically. They will have to always maintain quality also if they reduce the prices. So demand is there. It is just that the developer who has a good track record, who has completed the projects in the last 3 years, will be able to maintain his sale rate and get good demand. And compared to a developer who has done too much of land acquisition and not done execution of work at site, will face a challenge.
Okay, so you mean demand is going to be there. I mean, there's no issue on the demand side, and it will happen. So, what is that we are looking like? Means you are getting the inquiries, still you are doing the transaction right now.
See, I am into real estate marketing and development. And in my marketing team, I have done many land transactions with most of the developers. I have done more than 50 land transactions in the last decade. Plus, I have sold many high-end luxury flats to major celebrities, cricketers, actors. And I see a big demand. In lockdown period, I have been working every day from my home. And I have touched wood, with God's grace, more than 65 new leads, in which I have buyers of 50 crore each, of more than 15 buyers I have individually.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a very genuine.
Yeah.
This is for ready possession properties.
Yeah, there's the perception that only luxury real estate is going to suffer. Affordable is selling. So if this is the great news actually for the real estate market, what you're saying.
At the same time, two good quality luxury projects, ready possession, are not available. I'm focusing more on ready possession. Under construction everywhere, of course, will be a challenge. Let it be luxury or the middle size segment. But people are today wanting to have the keys against the payment. Under construction projects, I feel will get delayed. Looking at the current scenario, everyone will have challenges. So personally, everyone wants to have security and safety. I have got many NRIs who have called me that they need a home here, which is ready and which is rented to MNCs, consulates, then commercial property, pre-lease transactions. There is a lot of demand. Means we have completed 4 transactions in lockdown period ourselves. And I'm quite optimistic and positive about real estate. If the person is transparent, if he's committed, he's available, he's answerable, he will create his own market.
That's great. So ready property has a demand. Under construction, people will wait and because there's apprehension, the completion of the property and that thing. And also you mentioned that
this is my scenario.
Also you mentioned that if the builder has track record of like completing the project, getting the OC in last 3 years, they have a demand. So people will look at good developer, ready property to buy. So there's no issue on the demand even after lockdown.
Yes, correct.
That's great.
Yes.
This is time to a poll for the first poll. So we'll pause for the poll and then we'll again start with Mr. Pradeep Shetty.
Yes, sir. Yes, Ms. Rani.
Okay, so now coming to the, I think the poll result has come. So
I was
facing liquidity
on the same point, liquidity squeeze.
A fall in demand is surprising, means going with you, so there's no demand fall. That's good. So next question with Mr. Pradeep Shetty. Looking at this all crisis of the labor, like, you know, that migrant laborers are going back to their lives, the issues, and being a real estate industry is very, very labor incentive, like you need to get the labor to do this. So how you are handling with this labor issue, means whether you're using some new technology, how the entire thing has to be taken care. Means I'm sure all the developers are facing this problem because of the migrant labor going back, and somebody has already gone back. I don't know whether they're going to come back. Then how? But we have to construct. So how you'll take care and how you're going to handle this issue, and also how you're handling the disruption in the supply and demand chain.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a big issue in our industry. There's no labor at all now. All the laborers, everyone knows about it. Migrant laborers are already moved back to their respective villages because of pandemic, and you all know about it. This is a big challenge in front of all the developers that we cannot construct buildings without labor. So now challenge is that to get back those laborers back, or you have to search for a new laborers who are not skilled actually. So we need a skilled labor for construction work. So those are mostly migrant laborers. So this is a big challenge among us, and these are in front of us. So we are trying to pursue with our contractors. We are giving them an incentive, and we are trying to give all the you can say support and assurances that we'll be taken care of you in a right perspective. And we are asking government to ease the migrant laborers to come back. So this is a big challenge now. What we are doing is that we are trying to change the technology actually. So most of the things are labor oriented things, so we cannot change overnight. Still we are planning to have where we can use more machineries and we can use minimum laborers. This is, I think, all of we need to look into the at present scenario.
Okay. So technology is not going to replace the labor. I mean, they can reduce.
That is a big issue because our industry is a labor-oriented industry. We have to have a labor. Without labor, we cannot work. No, future is a free fabrication, free fab technology is there. So that we need to move on to the next technology. So that is where the labor requirement is very minimal. So that is the need of the hour. That is the future of construction industry. So during this pandemic, we all doing an introspection, how to come out of this crisis. This is a big challenge in front of us. So now we are all figuring out how to get back to the work. Now we already started our projects. So this is a big challenge in front of us. Laborers are not there. We are trying to get the laborers back from their native place. We are pursuing with them. So giving all the incentives and the assurances. So hopefully that month end by month end we'll have more laborers in Mumbai.
Okay. Another thing on this in the construction side. Other question I want to ask you: how you are managing your cash flow? Basically, margins are getting squeezed, demands are poor, your credit profile means. So, how you're tackling this issue right now as a builder?
Yeah, there is a big issue. Cash crunch is there because there is no sales, as Vijay is already explained about it. So this is a big problem in front of all the developers, that cash flow. So we are now presently we are having a zero cash flow. So we are working with our existing funds, and whatever we are surplus we had, we are saved that with those funds only we are going ahead with the construction and other expenses. And good thing is that RBI has increased the moratorium by another 3 months. So that is given us a more you can say breathing space. And I feel hopefully, as he rightly said, Vijay said, a lot of inquiries are there. So we are hopeful of converting sales and creating cash flow. That is the only way forward, I feel so.
Okay. So my next question to Mr. Christopher. Now the market is slowly opening up because the lockdown period, like India, the lockdown somewhere is getting relaxed, somewhere is getting phase-wise is opening up. How you are planning to increase your reach to your client since you online portal? So what is your key to reach to?
Right. So I'll introduce myself. So obviously I run a property portal. I run 2 property portals. One's called Commercial People and one is called Residential People. We're quite well positioned at the moment because we're obviously in India. I was over in India last year looking at the property market. We're also in the UAE. We're also in South Africa, and we're also obviously in the United Kingdom. So we're well positioned to help developers find NRIs that want to invest in India. But what we're doing is we're going to be investing quite heavily in social media and PR to get our name out there. And we're also developing some clever tech to exploit some of the data that we have. I think one of the challenges at the moment is obviously keeping consumer confidence in the market. So what we're trying to do is develop some tools that give a historic how the prices have risen historically and how they could rise over the next 5 to 10 years. Because I believe if an investor is going to buy a property, they know that it's a long-term investment. So what we're trying to do is help them to say, look, prices have gone down. Now is a good time to buy because prices were a little overflated before. But obviously investing in certain parts of the country, in certain developments, you're going to see those prices rise in the next 10 years. So that's what we're doing. We're developing some clever technology to get out to consumers, an app that will give them all the data, all of the knowledge that they need to make an informed decision. And at the moment, we're seeing in all markets, in all countries, property is one of the first markets that have gone back. Certainly in the UK, estate agents were the first occupation to go back to work because the government were keen to get them back to work to protect the real estate market. And I think that's probably the same in India as well. But since the lockdown in the last month, we've seen, as Vijay said, we've seen a lot of inquiries, a massive influx of inquiries and traffic coming to the site with people looking to buy, not just buy, but also rent properties. So, that's quite a positive. So we've seen a lot of positives in the last few weeks, which has been surprising.
Okay, great. So what do you think, like you also handle the Indian market, like you said, So how the inquiry you're getting from the Indian market or for the investing in the Indian properties and all?
Well, we're seeing, I mean, the whole idea of our portal is that we want to give a bigger reach to the advertisers. So the whole idea with when somebody advertises on their portal, whether it's a high-end luxury property, you know, or a two-bed rental property, we want to appeal to the local market. So we're trying to improve our reach in India via social media and developing sort of, as I said, clever tools to, like a concierge service to basically help the consumer journey when they're buying a property. But we're also promoting developments all around the world. So, you know, we'll promote luxury developments in India to our UA market, to our UK market, to attract NRIs to invest. And that's the whole concept of our two platforms. And as I said, we have one first that specialises just purely in commercial property and one for residential property. But we're here to stay. We're kind of looking ahead in the next 2 or 3 years how we can really gain some market share. And there's some clever initiatives that we're doing to push that out. So, but at the moment, we're seeing a massive increase in traffic to our site. So everything must be working quite well. So we've had sort of probably a record number of inquiries in the last 3 weeks as we've seen the lockdown ease, which I think is pent up pressure where people have been locked away for now 2 or 3 months. And now we're seeing that big surge in activity where people want to get out and start looking at property again.
Okay, good, great. So again, this is the time for the second poll, and we'll resume after this poll.
At 100%.
Okay, so now let's move to Rakesh. Question is on the NBFC must be feeling pressure from the financing project and the EMI receipts. How do you think that they will manage with the liquidity issue?
Thank you, Anil. In fact, I was all along thinking that the end user's confidence is quite low as of now. But my fellow panelists, they are giving me the confidence that there is still demand in for high-end projects. So that's good news. But how much of that would be coming to NBFC or a bank for taking loans, that is yet to be seen. Anyway, but right now, the fact is that all NBFCs are facing liquidity issues because there is stress on your cash inflows. But personally, I feel that high-rated NBFCs might not face much problems in raising funds also. And recently, RBI has also introduced several measures like they have allotted 10,000 crore to the National Housing Bank for financing MFIs. Reverse repo rate has been reduced. That makes lending by banks more attractive. Then extension of date of commercial operations, that commencement date has been extended by 1 more year. Then RBI has also come out with targeted long-term repo operations scheme worth 50,000 crores. And 50% of that is going to small and mid-sized NBFCs and MFIs. NPA classification norms have been relaxed. There is a special liquidity scheme of 30,000 crore. A stressed asset fund is going to be started. 45,000 crore worth credit guarantee scheme has been introduced. So all these things will definitely help NBFCs, but this should be done very fast. Implementation is the key. It has to be very quick. Right now, the risks which are faced by NBFCs are, one is the short-term liquidity mismatch. And this would become more and more severe as more and more people opt for this option for moratorium. It has already been extended by another 3 months. Then the NBFCs might also face funding risk. Intraday liquidity could be an issue for them. So management would involve looking beyond the current shocks. You have to prepare for containing the impact on your profitability, on your capital. You have to build resilience to withstand current and future shocks. You have to create a data-driven organization. New business models, new analytical capabilities would be required. You will have to revamp your whole collection management system. You have to focus on collection and recovery. Digitalization of your customers would also be very, very important. You need a very strong follow-up, a very good digital contact with your customers. You will have to leverage the power of alternate data. Then NBFCs would also require setting up early warning systems. They will have to identify default at the earliest so that they are in a position to cut down their losses wherever they need to restructure. That one time restructuring would be very, very important. And obviously, as I said, that long-term targeted long-term repo operations, that those funds have to come to the NBFCs very quick. And probably they will have to push their clients who are developers to sell their products, maybe at some small discount also, so that they are in a position to improve their cash flows. And last but not the least, they will also have to go in for some cost cutting. That might involve laying off some people, are cutting down on incentives and salaries. So that's for the NBFCs.
So they need to take some haircut. So
yes, sir.
Basically, they need to participate with the builder to come out with this problem. Like,
correct.
They can't be sitting with their things. The boss, okay, I need this money with this thing, and same time you say, boss, cut down the rate and sell the property, which is not going to happen because market is not set that. You can't go beyond certain cost. So
correct.
That's a good thing. Another question to you, Rakesh, like again, the question I asked about their cash flow issue with the builder. Here, the poor demand and weak rate profile, again, the margin is getting squeezed. How banking institutions going to handle this? How they are going to tackle this?
So banks are definitely facing a challenge. There is a very poor demand as of now, except as was suggested that high-end demand could be there. For ready possession, there would be a demand. But then the point is, investors will also be slightly conservative as of now. So bringing demand to the earlier levels would be a great challenge. Banks would require a detailed plan. They will have to reinvent themselves, reimagine. They will right now be extra cautious for new business, because if they are not sure about the recoveries, they will not take a call. They will have to, in any case, respond very fast to immediate short-term cash management challenges of their clients, their borrowers. And especially if this pandemic prolongs, then they will also have to go in for restructuring and offer some generous haircuts to their clients, their borrowers. Banks have to be prepared for interest rate changes. They'll have to maneuver themselves dynamically and real fast. They would require some very good stress testing models so that they are in a position to predict accurately any changes required in their business strategy. If the estimates, they are quite different from actuals, they will have to change their strategy. And as we discussed, one-time loan restructuring would have to be done. And then the new types of demand. We are leaving high-end customers from this particular discussion, but small people, there might be demand from those guys. Because right now, if people are staying, 10 people are staying in one room, they would like to be staying separately post-COVID. There could be demand in old cities also, where people are staying in congested areas, and they would like to shift to suburbs where there is more space for them, less risk of COVID. And there could be a demand from people who are working from home, because if they are having a small setup, especially in bigger cities, they would like to have some separate room for them, study for them, where they can work peacefully. So this type of demands will have to be developed at the bank's ends. And this is an extraordinary situation and banks will have to take extraordinary measures.
So why not? They have to be proactive. They have to be on the response and they have a quick response. So today, like
Yes, that's right. Implementation is always the key. RBI announces something, but if it is not implemented in time, as one of my friends
they no use.
Reading, he said liquidity denied is liquidity, liquidity delayed is liquidity denied.
Yeah, that's true.
So that should
and
not.
One time restructuring, you are suggesting it's required. Actually, it's a need of required for the all across this thing. So now my next question to again coming back to Vijay. I think you are mute. Yeah.
Yes, sir. My silence also.
Now, Vijay, means good to hear like demand is there and other thing, but that is on the one segment of the luxury. And if you look at overall real estate, we are entering to a new normal. So we are trying to adopt to the situation like, okay, okay, after that, this pedagogy, we'll go for the new normal, we'll start doing the business. But what do you think, when is going to be the things again normal? Like when you are looking at this market to go to the peak, so we'll again come back to the same real estate guy when this real estate market on the sales side is going to be getting the peak. Maybe next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, I don't know. I just want to take your view on that.
See, the market is in a very transformation stage right now. The entire systems of working have to be rethinked and replanned. I feel everyone has understood that the old school thought will no longer work. You will have to perform to survive. A builder who was taking 20 projects, was having a capacity of taking 10, should have taken 10 only earlier. Why did he take 20? Because he took 20, I'm just giving an example. This scenario has happened. Just to take more loans, people did more acquisitions and never thought of execution of work on site. So basically the holding cost is so high today that a builder actually has no margin, believe me, not that margin which earlier a decade ago people used to have. Now the holding cost will suck all the profits if the project is delayed by a considerable period. So people have to merge. Builders are already merging. Corporate builders slowly will take over, or the builders who are working in a corporate manner with a performance oriented manner will survive. Ready possession properties in locations depending on the demand and supply will see a big high rise compared to an under construction project which is just your next door. A person will prefer to pay more but take the keys, either use it or give it on rent, but he is certain that he has got his possession. Because everyone has had his difficult experiences in under construction deals and they have good experiences also. But people today need safety, and the demand, according to me, post-COVID for real estate will increase. Let life get normal. Today, you know, survival is a task in this year. So everyone has to first be healthy, be safe. That is the prime concern for this year. And as far as the real estate goes, I have been in the real estate since 3 decades. As I told you, 1990, I came into real estate. And I don't see real estate in any problems if government supports. Government has to pump in money in the economy. So many industries are affiliated with real estate. There's a cumulative effect in the entire economy. But I'm really very saddened by the recent comments made by most prominent people, which were not encouraging real estate. I don't think that should have been said. We all know that the margins of the builders, if you do a backward calculation, are negligible today. They are hardly making money after paying NBFCs and banks. The holding cost is tremendous. So how much one will pressurize the builder? I feel real estate industry is not getting that support which it should. If it gets, it will add a lot of value to the country's economy. And as far as the prices are concerned, prices will be subjective now. Under construction properties, I don't know, this is what I always feel. Okay, ready possession properties, depending on the location where the supply is more, will have a good sale if their supply is too much, and will have a price growth if the supply of ready possession properties in that area is not too much. This is what I have experienced. And rental transactions are quite a few happening today. People want good homes, like a 20 crore home you can get with a rent of 6 lakhs per month. So basically residential requirements, everyone will enhance. Like I am staying in a decent house and I'm thankful that God has given me a good space in which I could have survived in lockdown. I stay with my parents, wife, kids. So everyone needs decent house, people have understood. So the demand of the NRIs will increase tremendously, as Sir Christopher Sir also mentioned that. And once, Rakesh Kaushik and his team gives funds to the builders, real estate will really return the funds with good profit, and government should come up with good policies like GST input credit should be given, stamp duty should be waived for a limited period. As it is, real estate has suffered a lot from the last few years. It is time to support them, not to suppress them.
Yeah, that demand is coming from lot. But again, my question, what I wanted to ask here, when you think like the real estate going to be, the sales going to be peak, like we'll get the same sales what we used to get that. So real estate anyhow suffering last 4-5 years, real estate suffering because this pandemic, because this COVID, it's got almost no sales, very few sales. After this lockdown, with this issue get resolved, what do you think next 1 year, 2 year, when we can come back and again look at the same kind of sales what real estate used to do?
I think within max 1 year, things will come back good into shape. I'm quite confident and optimistic because memory is very short, and I'm sure the Almighty will bless all of us, the entire world, from this coronavirus. And once we all are back into action, we all will bounce back in a very good way.
Good. So I think taking from there, I think what you're trying to say, demand is there. People want to buy the house, but they are just holding right now because of whatever issues are there. And that will get resolved next 1 year. The real estate again will come back to their original say what we used to do that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So now again, this is next poll, time for next poll, and we'll come back after the third poll.
I can reply 100% for this.
But you're not supposed to, means you can't. You can only see the.
So my people are replying. Don't worry, it will cross.
But you can see the result and you can match your opinion with the result.
See, it has crossed. No, I told you. Na.
Yeah. So now.
Less said and more understood subject this was.
Coming back to again to Mr. Pradeep, looking at like again the current scenario, means this entire thing, how the construction industry getting evolved. Are you looking at to use the technology like, for example, prefab, where you can save the time? Because right now the customers are looking at something has to come on time, the position is on time. So what do you think, using the prefab technology, another technology which can reduce your dependability on the manpower and can do the quality construction faster? What's your view?
Yeah, this is no issue. You all know that now labor issue is there. Now we are going to change our construction way of construction. We need to get into new technology. I feel prefabrication also set to redefine the real estate industry in India, and it is the only one-point solution to affordable housing and shortage of housing in India. So this is the, I think, need of the hour. I think this is going to be, we need to get into now prefabrication more and compared to our conventional construction. Conventional construction, you know that a lot of laborers are required and a lot of issues are there. Now, I think now in future, this will change. Prefabrication is 3 times faster than conventional construction. So if you want to construct a 20 million square feet, so you can construct in 21 months. So that is quite faster and it is most cost effective. And it is the costing is also, I think, it is 20% lesser than normal conventional construction. Prefabrication will be the, I think, future of India, and almost 18 million housing units are required. Shortfall is there to bridge the gap. So we need to get into a technology where you have to get a prefabricated things where you have to do only, see, in a prefabrication where you have to do only for foundation work, rest of the things you can manufacture at a factory or somewhere else, and you can transport it to the site and you can construct it easily and faster. And I think this industry is going to grow. And it's again, as per estimation, I feel it is almost $136,000 industry by 2023. So I think this is a big advantage for all of us, and we need to think forward, and we need to see that our industry should now migrate from conventional method to modern technology. We used to use modern technology to cover up the speed and the cost effectiveness, and I think this is a need of the hour. Future will be redefined by, I feel, this kind of a technology, and I think this is a need of the hour, where we can, which will be more of, you can have a green building where pollution will be less, construction activities, if air pollution will be less, and the transportation will be less, and everything, labor requirement will be less. So everything will be machine made, but again, you need a skilled labor, very few skilled labor, which you can construct the cost effectively and faster. What I believe, I think this is the future of our industry. I think we have to change ourselves and our mindset from conventional method to this new method.
But this prefab work for the high rise, you're searching the prefab goes like low cost.
At present, people are using it only for commercial activities. I think it's not very popular over here. People see that prefabricated things are only for a low-cost housing. It is not really, actually, people are not accepted. So this is, I think, we need to change our mindset, and we need to have more webinar on prefabricated construction. I feel that awareness is not there still, and even bankers are not supporting it. They are saying that it's not very, you can say, high-end construction, so very shabby construction. But I feel you can do a wonderful construction, and it's very cost effectiveness, and you can construct with the precision and with quality, safety, and everything. I think you can, and most of the developed countries, they are going for a prefab construction only. So in India, we are hanging out with that old school of thought, and I think this is the need of the hour. And this COVID-19, we need to restructure ourselves, and we need to use more of technology, this kind of technology. I think this will help in future to bridge the gap.
Okay. So I think what I understood, we have to go away from the conventional construction and adopt technology, which help in the cost reduction, which help into the time management, and which also help to reduce the manpower, like your labor dependability.
Very true.
Okay. Coming to Christopher again, coming back to you. Looking at the market, do you plan to integrate your various business vertical in order to create a value? Means integration of your vertical, all the vertical, to create the value.
Yeah, so we're looking at various integrations. We're very keen to integrate or incorporate fintech products into our platform. So we think it's very important that when the consumer, I mean, we're noticing, I mean, a lot of consumers now are actually because one of the questions was, has the searches changed? We're finding in all of the countries, a lot of people now are looking to search outside of the city centres into the suburbs. We're seeing, particularly when people have been sort of in lockdown and they've realised, look, I need more space. They've realised that it's fine having a smaller space in a city centre when they're working every day, but when they're locked up for 3 months, they're realising now that I need space to work from home. So we're seeing a lot of that activity. We want to incorporate, the answer to your question is more sort of fintech products. So when people are looking for a property to buy, we want to work a lot more with the banks on what's available in terms of financing. We want to work with sort of other platforms as well, supplier platforms, to become more of a one-stop shop. That it's not just coming on the site looking for properties. There is all the other suppliers and all the other things that they're going to need when looking for a property. So we're keen to integrate with a lot of some of the prop tech suppliers in India. And we're particularly, as I mentioned, interested in integrating with data suppliers. So anyone that can supply us data on historic data, local information about areas. So when people are looking for properties, they're more informed about where they're buying, what the area's like, and also price indicators as well. And we're interested in how where we see prices rising over the next 10 years, because that way we can target market consumers with opportunities in various parts of the countries where we feel that the prices are going to increase.
Okay. Coming back to again to Rakesh, the question to you, like, while the jury is still out of the moratorium issue, how are you planning to adopt the strategy to circumvent this issue?
Well, in this case, moratorium 2 is already announced. So this is going to add additional stress to your cash inflows. So as of now, banks are giving this relief to NBFCs on a case-to-case basis. But this will not address their liquidity issues completely. So in banks, the number of borrowers who are exercising this option could be higher than NBFCs. So as I said, that better analytics and increased customer contact is the key. You'll have to build a better rapport with your customers and maybe offer some temporary reduction in interest rates also. You'll have to take some haircuts. And banks will have to pass on the benefit which they are deriving from decrease of cash reserve ratio or because of decrease in repo rates. That will have to be passed on to their borrowers. So these could be certain possible actions which banks.
Understood. Okay, time for next poll. So moratorium is a good way to tackle economic downfall for working class. Let's see what's the result. Yes. So what do you think about this poll, Mr. Kaushik?
For all class.
I think it's not beneficial for all the people because you'll be paying interest on interest. Maybe your period goes up, your interest cost will in any case be up.
It's going to be up.
In case you have inflows, you should not defer in my view.
So again, my next question to you only, what is the future outlook for the banking sector looking at all this scenario? Means you have covered all these things, but this is the things. How is going to be like a future for the banking sector?
In the near term, there is always a pressure. I don't think outlook is I won't say it is bleak, but it's serious, it's grim. But then in the medium term, in the long term, it will be better, much better. Banks, they require a contingency funding plan. They need to realign their funding strategies. They have to iron out their operational challenges and implementation, fast implementation, speedy implementation would be the key. You are getting funds. RBI is giving you funds. If you don't disburse those funds in time, so NBFCs will not get the proper benefit. Then banks will have to leverage their trading portfolio also to get extra income. When you need a stronger liquidity management and asset liability management framework in banks, you will require new revenue, new pricing models. They have to be very, very sophisticated. You will have to optimize your balance sheet exposures. Your interest rates will have to be repriced. They will have to work out the short-term impact on their net interest income and take appropriate measures, as also long-term impact on their economic activity. And as I said, the new types of demand which is coming out, they will have to tap that demand. These are, as I said, these are extraordinary. This is an extraordinary situation, and you will have to take some extraordinary measures.
Yeah, understood.
That's
so now, again, coming back to Christopher, what are the various aspects used by your industries to promote the business?
Yeah, so we're, well, I mean, there's various different ways, but I mean, we're talking consumers. So we're targeting, if we're talking about the everyday consumers, both in India and abroad, we're looking at doing a lot of social media advertising. We think that's the main way to get our name out there. And we're also, and I keep talking about this, is we're now working on innovative ways where we can basically allow access to data to consumers. Because I think for a long time, if you're looking at data and analytics, it tends to be only seen by professionals. So we want everyday people to have access to more data to allow them, as I said, to make more informed decisions. And we want to be the go-to place to see that. But you know, the reach is we do a lot of marketing on, as I said, social media, and you know, our platforms are international as well. As I've mentioned before, we have a commercial platform, a residential platform. So we have a very big reach already from NRIs from the UK looking to buy in India, from South Africa. So we're very well placed to get the reach. We're getting a lot of traffic coming through now, and I can only see that increasing as we go along. So yeah, we're quite happy the way our platform has gone. I know there's a little bit of pessimism in the liquidity and things like that. I do believe that the governments from, including India, will step in a little bit to help, because obviously, you know, to keep the economy going, they must keep the real estate economy going, which is good for everybody here. It's good for us. But you know, I came out of, I was in finance 10 years ago when we saw the credit crunch. And everyone probably remembers that, and everyone came out of the other side of that very well. So, you know, I do think that once the COVID's on, I think in about 4 to 5 months, things will definitely start picking up again. As Vijay said, he's selling properties in the lockdown. So, you know, there's a tremendous amount to be optimistic about as well.
Good. Understood. So now I have last question to the panelists, and this question I'm going to ask to Mr. Vijay Kandhari. Basically, Vijay, you were like second generation consultant in the real estate. You have seen all the ups and downs in real estate. What message you want to give to the future generation? Or real estate builder, consultant, anybody?
First, like my father, 1 minute to say a few words.
Yeah, hi.
Vijay Kandhari ji.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please.
I'm an ex-banker. I work with the Reserve Bank of India for 30 years. And I'm working in real estate also last 40 years. Son has joined me after putting in 10 years service, active service in my real estate business. So I work with very big corporates also, like Godrej company, like Birla Group companies,
Right.
of them also. And I think that it should reconcile, the market should reconcile, because the market is now, people feel that market will fall down, but according to my observations and my experience, it says that a lot of things will take place as soon as this bad period is over, actually. But now we always advise our clients to take care of the health, because the money is not important and the
Right.
business is not important, because we should see that everybody keeps all right. And then after this, as soon as this period is over, banking industry also is helping very badly, actually. And moratorium period, I feel that banks should consider not 6 months, but they should consider at least 1 year to builders to, you know, maintain their liquidity position and complete the projects and in a position to pay back their installments. Actually. So market is, I feel that market will revive.
Okay, I think
Definitely.
Yeah. Vijay ji.
Yeah, I would like to say the future generation that be performance oriented.
Two generations are here only, so one generation you have to say the future generation, like.
Yeah.
My grandson also sitting with me.
Okay, so all three generations are.
We 3 generations are there.
Okay, great.
Kal, aaj aur kal.
Kal aaj aur kal.
Kal aaj kal.
So I would say the future generation that be performance oriented, honor your commitments, and real estate is the best field to enter as a realtor or as a developer. Just answer every call, face every situation, and take things to your capacity which you can handle. You will never go wrong. Real estate is a very good line which gives you a lot of experiences. You meet so many different people. You have so much of a variety of reactions coming, a lot of experience. You get to learn a lot of psychology. You understand the person, how to deal, what to talk, when to talk, and it's full of wonderful experiences all over. So the future generation should give a thought and join real estate, but honor all commitments. And I'm sure we have seen in the last few decades, the developers who have honored the commitments have made themselves as a brand, and they are not finding that issues compared to what the non-performer is finding.
Okay. So what I understood, like you're saying, you have to have you take care of your customer, and then things will get.
Yeah, be transparent, because.
So the customer-centric approach has to be there.
Has to be there. Has to be there.
I have to.
The customer should come back to you. The repeat customer is your real earning. The person who has dealt with you, if he comes back to you, that is what my parents have taught me. My mother is also a ex-banker. She's from ABN AMRO Bank. My father, from Reserve Bank. They have told me that your real income is when your customer comes back to you again. That is when you are real successful.
So you have to acquire your customer. Basically, you are looking at acquire your customer, and then customer-centric approach will work in real estate.
Yeah, you have to feel as if you are buying the property for yourself, and you have to work with that spirit. No more manipulations will be allowed if you want to survive and grow in real estate.
Great. So thank you. Thanks to all panelists. Thanks for joining, taking your time.
Thank you.
And thanks to all participants. On behalf of Global Advertising Private Limited, I would like to thank everybody.
I would